going on, guys? Adam and Alex back here for this week's fishing report. We got a lot to talk about. Rockfish has now been open for a week. Crabbing's really hot. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So Alex, you wanna take it away?
Yeah, sure. We're gonna start with rock fishing. A lot of the good bites been honestly all throughout the area, and meaning up and down the bay. But starting up in the upper bay, heard a lot of things about people catching a decent amount of fish around Rock Hall and Hart Miller Island. A lot of guys are fishing the lumps up at south of Pools Island with live peelers or eels. Live lining is obviously going to be one of the best things to do all around the area, and what better than our pro live lining chunking rigs? You can use it for live lining and bottom fishing, so great thing to use out there. I know there's been stuff going on in the middle bay too, right?
Yeah. Touch on one more thing in the upper bay. People are starting to catch a little bit more catfish. Heard some reports from the Patapsco, heard some reports from the Chester, but there are catfish kind of everywhere around the bay. You go down to the Patuxent, you find some big blues. Head up the Potomac, you find some big blues and flatheads. A bait that we have that a lot of people don't really know about that works really good for catfish. I use it myself. I know Alex uses it too. It's going to be this herring here, especially when you get a little bit further up those rivers. This is one of the main bait, one of the main forages up there. So when you're matching the hatch, this will be a really great bait to use. Like I said, Potomac, Patuxent, Chester, Patapsco, those are all areas where people are catching catfish right now. Now heading down to the middle bay, rock fishing is still good down there. Areas like the Chop Tank, like the Bay Bridge, like the South River, I've heard some good reports as well. A lot of people are doing good live lining. Poplar Island as well. If you're at Poplar early morning, I know a lot of people know about it. Throw topwater at them, throw jigs at them. But live lining's been really hot right now. Those rockfish are really keyed in on spot. Other stuff going on in the middle bay, kind of getting from the middle down to the lower bay, like Chop Tank and South. We are still seeing a bunch of breaking blues. Not as much as we were last week and the week before, but we are still seeing them. Keep it simple, guys. Wire bite leader, heavy mono, throw a stinks over at them, find the birds, and you'll find the fish. We're also seeing like kind of just like Solomon's Point lookout area. We're starting to see a couple mackerel. They're not really in thick yet. But there are a couple mackerel around. Definitely troll spoons for them. You can cast the same stuff that you're casting at bluefish. And then on the inshore side in the lower bay, we've got specks, redfish. You want to talk about that a little bit, Alex?
Across on the eastern shore side, a couple areas that have been pretty productive for trout have been anywhere from, the Hunger River south to the Tangier, any of those marsh areas, or any of the grass flats that are having great. Some of these little paddle tails, like these nomad paddle tails, are great for trout. And even these Savage Gear crabs will work great for puppy drum. There's still a few showing up. I don't think it's like red hot right now, but there has been a couple more guys catching puppy drum in that area. And of course, across on the western side, they've been doing great around the mouth of the Potomac. And most of the creeks that feed into the lower Potomac have been holding some trout and some puppy drum mixed in with the rockfish also inshore. I don't think they're probably past Solomon's, but you never know. With this change of weather, we'll see what happens. But hopefully they do make it up this way.
Yeah. And then heading down, out the bay, out the mouth, over to actually before we get there, a couple other things going on in the lower bay. Cobia are few and far between. It's a hit or miss bite out there. People are catching some in the area of the target ships, out of point lookouts, stuff like that. Chunking really is going to be your best bet, but if you do see them swimming, you can throw something like this Nomad Vertrex, nice bunker pattern there. Got a bunker imitation swimming right in front of a cobia's face. If he's hungry, he's going to smoke that thing. And then redfish. A lot of people have been seeing that Chesapeake gold down there in the lower bay. They're mixed in with the bluefish sometimes, or they're in the vicinity. So use your electronics, your side scan, try and find those fish. Or if you see a flash of gold in those breaking bluefish, throw a big jig in there. These NOBN straight tails work really, really good. This is a nice color here. It's kind of the same color as those bluefish that the redfish are, pushing and feeding on. little food chain reaction going on there. But yeah, so that's what's going on in the lower bay. Now we'll take you out to the ocean side.
Yep, so it's white marlin, going on right now. A lot of people were trying to get out there before the weather, and the mahi has been probably one of the biggest things with the offshore bite happening right now. Mixing with, I know you guys were out there doing some trolling and caught some white marlin, of course.
Yeah, we released 2.
So, that's been happening out there. I think most of your tuna bite is pretty far north. Not going to say you're not going to catch any, but there's a couple far between, in this area right now, between the Washington and Baltimore, and you have to push north towards the Wilmington, closer to the Hudson, somewhere around there, for that, bite to pick up for tuna. And if you are trying that, some of these rigged wrist rigs here are going to be perfect for that, and even marlin will hit these.
Absolutely.
But other than that, obviously there's other things to fish for offshore, and some of that will be like sea bass and towel fishing.
Yeah.
I know you guys did pretty well with that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So we were offshore fishing towel fish, blue line towel fish, like 300, 500 foot of water. You can get them on towel fish rigs, or really just any top and bottom rig with big enough hooks and enough lead to get down there. Squid is usually your go-to bait. You can slow pitch jig for them too. We've got these mustad slow pitch jigs. Those will work good on sea bass in the deep water. Smaller sizes will also work good on your inshore reefs, your African queen, your jack spot. Interestingly enough, around those reefs, I've heard some people catching cobia, which would be a really cool surprise if you guys are out there. But flounder are out there too. Drop them down on a heavy jig. Whether you're fishing in the bay, in the surf, wherever you're fishing for flounder, you want something stinky. You want something that smells. Those bait fuels, they're a really good thing to throw. Everyone and their mother is out there throwing gulp, as I'm sure you guys know. So if you want to throw something a little bit different at them, we all in the store here do pretty good on those bait fuel baits. And then touching on the surf, it's pretty slow in the surf right now. Guys shark fishing, like Assateague and Chincoteague, they're getting a lot of rays, occasional bull red, like here and there. But there's flounder in the surf. You could get into some bluefish.
Kingfish.
Yep, kingfish. On these little rigs like this, especially if you're going out there with your kids before they go back to school, these little kingfish mullet rigs are going to be great for your small size
Tear them up.
panfish out there in the surf. Now, moving over to the freshwater side of things, what have you been hearing, Alex?
Snake bite has picked up a little bit now, especially around Blackwater and the Upper Bay areas, because of this cool down that we are going through right now. Too hot, it's actually too hot for them too, for snakeheads, so especially largemouth bass. So I heard a couple guys doing actually pretty decent in the Transquakin River and some of the other areas and around Blackwater, especially throwing some a little bit smaller. These smaller chatterbait presentations have been great, especially when the bite gets a little tougher, or just some of those areas where it gets really pressured. So white's the right color for snakeheads. Make sure you grab some of those. And also throwing underspins. Underspins, especially in the upper and once again Blackwater area, fishing around the marsh area with a nice 4-inch, 4.5-inch paddle tail, can really do damage when those fish are really feeding aggressively. But besides that, obviously there's also in some of these same areas great pan fishing, especially if you're fishing the Upper Bay in some of the areas like the Sassafras River or even the Gunpowder. Bluegills, crappie. And what great way to do it than using some of these small nipped imitation jigs are going to be great under a bobber. And also live minnow can obviously do a lot of damage for anything in those areas. You can catch just about anything that swims with a minnow and a bobber. So make sure to, take a few of those with you when you're out there.
Yep, for sure. And then staying on the freshwater side of things, those of you guys who want to go do some smallmouth bass fishing, your rivers, your Susquehanna, your Potomac, your Monocacy, they're running a little high and muddy right now, so be really careful. You might want to wait a couple days, provided we get no more rain, for those water levels to come down a little bit before you're going out there wading, or even if you're doing a float. Just be really careful out there, guys. And yes, coming back to this chatterbait here, we just got these in. It's the Micromax BFS Z-Man chatterbait. I'm super excited about these things. These are going to be smallmouth slayers, especially in clear water when you want a little more subtle of a presentation, but still some vibration to trigger an aggressive bite. And that's really it for the freshwater side of things. I think the only thing we didn't really touch on in the bay is going to be your spot croaker and your perch. Weird year for perch, guys. It's been unusually slow.
Definitely off.
No one's really sure why. You're gonna have to throw some different stuff at them besides, you know, your normal sabikis and your perch hounders. Something bright and full of scent to just really try and get a reaction strike. These little 2-inch gulps. I know I've done well on them. Ryan's done well on them. We've all been finding that the scent has been key for perch this summer. And then in terms of spot and croaker, any of your shoals, any structure, drop down a sabiki rig. If you want one that you have that looks a little more realistic, that you might not necessarily have to bait, you can go with this mustad one. You got these little like shrimpy, squiddy things on here. But really any sabiki rig that you drop down with bloodworms, razor clams, soft crab bits.
Fish bites.
Yeah, fish bites. You might get into those spot and croaker. Last thing, guys, crabbing. As I'm sure most of you guys know, August, September are like prime times for crabbing. Kids are going back to school. You want to get those crab feasts in. Great way is to do some hand lining from a pier, especially if you don't have any property or you don't have a boat. You can go to Chesapeake. You can go to Jonas Green. You can go to Roman Cove. You can
Fort Smallwood.
Yeah, Fort Smallwood. And you can hand line off a pier with one of these really long nets, and you'll be able to scoop those crabs right off your hand line as you please. And yeah, I think that does it for our fishing report.
Yep, that's about it.
Cool. Thank you guys for watching, and go catch some fish. We'll see you next week.